Despite his mother's warnings, Amadou dared to defy the unseen and paid the price. A story that shocks, teaches, and transforms. Like, subscribe, and share with your friends to spread the wisdom of this mystical African tale. In a village washed in sunlight and red dust lived Amadou, quick-witted but stubborn to the core. He laughed loudly, ran faster than the wind, and believed advice was meant for others. His mother, a wise woman with deep, knowing eyes, understood the invisible borders between the human world and the realm of spirits. Each morning she spoke the same calm yet heavy words: "Some waters must never be disturbed." Amadou nodded, then did the opposite. To him, warnings were just stories to scare children. The village, however, held its breath. Far from the eyes of adults, Amadou joined other children near an old abandoned hearth. There, a blackened pot rested on 3 stones, forgotten by time. Inside, water was heating gently, trembling as if it were breathing. Amadou burst into laughter. To him, it was only a game. He mocked the Djinn stories the elders told at night. He stepped too close, poking the pot with a stick, making the other children laugh. But the air changed. The wind suddenly stopped. Even the birds fell silent. The boiling water trembled, angered. Without knowing it, Amadou had just challenged what never plays. As Amadou kept laughing, a shadow slid across the ground without coming from any tree. The pot began to tremble slightly, as if touched by an ancient breath. The other children stepped back, suddenly uneasy, their laughter dying in their throats. Amadou, however, felt proud. He believed himself stronger than the elders' fears. He declared that nothing lived in that water, nothing but heat. But deep inside the pot, something moved. A soft, ancient, wicked laugh mixed with the sound of boiling water. Amadou did not yet understand it, but an evil Djinn, disturbed in her rest, had just opened her eyes. Driven by pride and the laughter of others, Amadou grabbed the boiling pot with a cloth. His heart pounded, not with fear, but excitement. He shouted that nothing could happen to him. In a quick, reckless move, he threw the boiling water forward. It splashed the ground, then the air. A terrible scream, neither human nor animal, tore through the silence. The steam twisted into moving shapes. A dark figure appeared, furious and protective. Behind her, small shadows trembled. Amadou had burned an evil Djinn and her children. The laughter vanished. The world had shifted. The Djinn let out a cry so powerful, the ground trembled. The air turned scorching, then freezing. Around her, steam spiraled like a living storm. Her eyes glowed with ancient anger, the anger of a wounded mother. She did not touch Amadou. She did not need to. With a simple gesture, the fire beneath the pot died, and a heavy silence fell. The children ran away in panic, stumbling through the red dust. Amadou stood alone. His laughter was gone. For the first time, he understood that some mistakes summon answers no one can stop. The Djinn spoke no words. She simply raised her hand. Time seemed to slow around Amadou. Dust froze in the air. Leaves stopped falling. An invisible wind wrapped around him, heavy like judgment. Amadou felt his body weaken, his legs shake, his courage melt like wax under the sun. Images of his mother and her warnings crossed his mind, too late. The Djinn stared at the child for a long moment, then vanished in a burning breath. But she did not leave alone. She left behind something unseen, a silent curse clinging to Amadou's shadow. Amadou returned home at dusk. The village felt different, as if he were walking inside a thick dream. The laughter of other children reached him, distorted and far away. That night, he could not sleep. Each time he closed his eyes, he saw black steam and felt a burning breath behind him. His shadow, cast by the moon, no longer followed his movements exactly. Sometimes it hesitated. By morning, his mother noticed the change. Amadou no longer laughed. His eyes avoided hers. The curse had begun to speak, not with words, but with signs only spirits understand. In the days that followed, something changed around Amadou. Whenever he came near other children, play stopped abruptly. Laughter faded in the hot air. Some swore they saw steam rising from his shadow. The younger ones began to avoid him. Others said he smelled of smoke even when he was clean. Amadou did not understand. He only wanted to be the boy he used to be. But the curse moved slowly, like fire hidden under ashes. What began as a game was becoming a burning loneliness. Amadou's mother watched her son in silence. She saw what others could not, an ancient weariness in a child's eyes, a shadow too heavy for his age. That evening, she burned sacred herbs and prayed without words. In the smoke, visions appeared. She recognized the trace of an offended Djinn, the mark of fire thrown without respect. Her heart tightened, not with anger, but sadness. She had warned him. She placed her hand on Amadou's head. She did not scold him. She knew now that some lessons burn before they enlighten. Before dawn, Amadou's mother led her son to the edge of the sacred river. The water was calm, yet deep, as if guarding ancient secrets. She washed Amadou's hands and face, while whispering words passed down from the ancestors. For a moment, the air softened. The steam around Amadou's shadow grew lighter. His mother believed the curse was weakening. She closed her eyes, full of hope. Suddenly, the river's water darkened. A shiver ran across its surface. The cleansing had been heard, but the Djinn had not forgiven. This was only the beginning of the trial. That night, Amadou's home found no rest. The fire went out without reason, and a strange chill settled within the clay walls. His mother immediately felt it. The cleansing had summoned an answer. In the middle of the night, dark steam slipped into the family courtyard. It did not scream. It did not destroy. It watched. The children of the household began to cry in their sleep, shaken by burning dreams. The Djinn had returned, not for the village, not for others, for Amadou and those who shared his blood. By morning, Amadou woke with an unfamiliar heaviness in his body. His arms felt weak, his legs uncertain. Around him, his family looked drained, as if the night had stolen their strength. The youngest refused to eat. A baby cried without reason, staring at an empty corner of the hut. The mother then understood. The Djinn was not punishing with violence, but with slow fear, the kind that settles into the blood. Amadou felt guilt crush him. Every breath reminded him of his act. The Djinn no longer screamed. She was teaching. Realizing her prayers alone were no longer enough, Amadou's mother rose before dawn and went to see the neighborhood imam, a man respected for his knowledge and faith. As he listened to the story, the imam lowered his head. He knew some beings flee only before sacred words. He entered the family home calmly. Amadou trembled. The imam sat down, opened the Quran, and began to recite. The verses filled the air, clear and powerful. The walls seemed to vibrate softly. The dark steam retreated for a moment. A breath of anger swept through the hut. The Djinn was resisting. The battle would not be quick, but light had just entered. As the recitation continued, the dark steam gathered at the center of the hut. It slowly took shape, no longer threatening, but heavy with sorrow. The Djinn appeared, bent like a mother carrying an invisible burden. Around her, small shapes trembled, wounded by the boiling water. Anger gave way to deep pain. She had not come to destroy, but to remind an ancient law: even spirits protect their children. Amadou lowered his head. For the first time, he understood that his act was not just disobedience, but a wound. Tears flowed. The Djinn watched in silence. Repentance had begun. The Djinn slowly moved closer to Amadou. Her voice did not come from her mouth, but resonated through the air and into the heart. Forgiveness was not impossible, but it demanded something rare in stubborn children: sincere acknowledgement of fault. Trembling, Amadou bowed deeply. He no longer sought excuses. He blamed neither the game nor the other children. He accepted full responsibility for his act, before his mother, the imam, and the unseen world. The steam grew lighter. The Djinn raised her hand, no longer to curse, but to seal a lesson. Forgiveness would be granted, but Amadou would never forget this day. The burn would leave his body, not his memory. After the Djinn's departure, calm returned to the house. The steam vanished and the children slept peacefully again. But Amadou did not rise as before. His body remained weak, burning some days, freezing on others. For 3 long months, he stayed bedridden. He no longer played. He no longer ran under the sun. Each morning, his mother cared for him patiently, and the imam returned to recite verses to soothe his spirit. The illness was not blind punishment. It was a slow reminder, day after day. Lying there, Amadou reflected on his mother's words, his pride, and the boiling water. His body suffered, but his heart was learning. As the weeks passed, Amadou's fever faded. His breathing grew steadier, his eyes clearer. When he finally stood again, his body was slower, but his mind more awake. He now listened to every word of his mother. He greeted elders with respect. Where he once laughed at everything, he now thought before acting. The 3 months of trial had broken his stubbornness, but opened his heart. Amadou was no longer the same child. The Djinn had left his life, but an invisible mark remained: the wisdom born from suffering. When Amadou finally regained the strength to go outside, he gathered the neighborhood children. His voice was no longer mocking, but calm. He told them his mistake, without exaggeration, without laughter. He told them that disobedience may seem brave, but often hides ignorance. That parents' warnings are not chains, but shields. The children listened in silence, for in his eyes they saw something rare: a child who had learned too early, but forever. This story is not only Amadou's. It belongs to every child who believes they know before listening. Wisdom does not always come with age, but it always begins with humility. Respecting parents, elders, and the unseen is a form of self-protection. Some mistakes do not destroy the body, but peace itself. True strength is not in defiance, but in knowing when to stop. Amadou grew up. He never became the stubborn child he once was. Each time he saw boiling water, he remembered. Each time his mother spoke, he listened. His story spread quietly, not to frighten, but to awaken. For not all shocks are loud. Some teach in silence. And if this story touches you, remember, listening today may spare you suffering tomorrow.